Consumers in the South African car market are fiercely brand loyal. Everybody knows this. It takes time for a brand to achieve equity and cachet, and then there are still no guarantees. Even cash flash manufacturers have taken an abrupt U-turn after experiencing the challenges of gaining a foothold here. Just think about General Motors. With all this in mind, Chinese carmaker Haval seems intent on giving it a good shot. Although the brand has seen its share of adopters, hesitancy still lingers around the nameplate for the most part. That said, our experience of their product offensive, notably the H2 and H6C, has revealed that we cannot dismiss them as a flash in the pan. Nor can we induct them into the Hall of Fame just yet. Let me introduce you to their latest offering, the Haval H9. Ambitiously, this hopes to sway buyers away from the likes of the Toyota Fortuner and Ford Everest in the 7-seater body-on-frame sport utility vehicle segment. Oh boy, that's not going to be an easy task. Flashback to the time we tried to settle the score between these two popular hitters. Well, I like the fact that we've got Sync 2 in here. A bit fiddly to use, but it's good that they've thrown it in nonetheless.
It almost feels like I'm sitting in a Lexus, yeah? It feels premium. I mean, compared to the Ford Everest, it's really chalk and cheese. This is the more sort of SUV-like.
That 2.8 GD6 engine is just superb. It's refined, it's reasonably quiet. You know, there's none of those nasty, clattery vibrations that used to define old diesel engines.
The Ford's engine just gives you a little bit more in terms of performance and power.
You see, I know the Ford has an extra cylinder to play with, but I think it's just way too noisy.
Yeah.
It can get really thirsty when you're pressing on, and I think the power difference is marginal.
Almost negligible, yeah.
Since then, we've seen this segment of the market become even further saturated, with the likes of Mitsubishi's Pajero Sport and Isuzu's MU-X entering the fray. These are two brands with sound reputations in the category. So, is Haval poised to notch up a couple of wins in this arena? I'm doubtful. There are a few reservations that creep up from behind the tiller of the H9. First up, that engine. It's a heavily boosted 2-litre 4-cylinder unit, and it's simply not up to the task of shifting such a hefty vehicle. Next up, the ride quality. Now, there's always going to be a trade-off in a vehicle of this nature, and some offerings have made great strides in disguising their rough and tumble routes, but this isn't one of them. It is quite jittery around town speeds, and at freeway speeds, quite frankly, unnerving. That aside, we can offer positive comment on the insulation and quietness of the cabin. So that's one tick. While it might have a jittery on-road character, the suspension seems well suited to off-road requirements, tackling things with more suppleness than we expected, shrugging off high-speed dips with compliance, and filtering jarring surfaces underfoot with acceptable composure. Let us not forget that it boasts the benefit of four-wheel drive, in addition to an assortment of modes to help its driver negotiate the rough stuff. I'm very much of the view that this H9 is a work in progress. If you believe the brand spin doctors and take a look at their recent local sales figures, uptake from consumers seems promising. Haval just needs to prime themselves for this surge with products that are not merely described as good, but, which they're trying to do. Case in point, well, not long ago they poached a man named Phil Simmons to head up their design. He was the studio director for Land Rover's exterior design department, and his CV includes the Evoque, Velar, Discovery and Discovery Sport. So while one might be lukewarm about products like the H9 now, there's probably a lot to look forward to from the manufacturer in future. Perhaps you can tell, but Phil Simmons lent no hand in drawing the H9. It was launched before his tenure, having been on sale in China for many years now. And that shows. It's not what you'd call striking or dazzling by any means, with cues derived from other models, all tacked to create one chunky and altogether nondescript silver appliance on four wheels. Although it does have a tailgate that opens like a fridge. Interior materials are inoffensive overall, with soft touch points, plush ornamentation, and seemingly upscale switchgear, or projecting the facade of being so at the very least. There's quite a bit in the way of features, including a painfully slow electronically operated third row of seats, panoramic roof, and settings for off-road driving. That's in addition to expected things like cruise control, climate control, and blind spot monitoring. There are, of course, aspects that let it down. Why can't we just one time have a Chinese car that doesn't smell like a plastic factory? Our test unit has a passenger seat that appears to be in its second trimester. And the biggest hint to the H9's age is the infotainment system, which is niggly in operation and beset by more than a few quirks. That includes translations that were a bit lost in translation, and a voice that chimes in every time you engage reverse.
Attention, please select the parking mode.
Now, I wouldn't describe the Haval H9 as totally horrendous. Let's call it a mixed bag. The H9 costs a snip under 600,000 Rand, which sounds like a lot because it is a lot. Yes, you could get into competitor products for less, although you will be opting for two-wheel drive derivatives with lower specification levels. So if four-wheel drive is a great imperative, in addition to an abundance of toys, then the Haval might make sense. And here's the thing, you don't actually have to fork out considerably more for a rival product that matches the specification sheet of the H9. For the price, you'd have to be an employee at the company or a patriotic citizen of the People's Republic of China to find any sense in this choice. But people of this republic are going to find better value, better road manners, better resale, and virtually better everything in the areas that matter from rivals like the Ford Everest, Toyota Fortuner, Mitsubishi Pajero Sport, or Isuzu MU-X.